All right, our next unit, 1.4, is about order of operations, which basically is about the order of which you would solve a problem. Um, Solving the problem based off this order of operations, if you don't do it that way, you're going to get completely different answers, and so you do need to follow the correct order. So the order of which you should do things when you see different operations in a problem are listed here. I'm going to refer to them as Gedemsa, Gedmsa. And what that G stands for is grouping. And I say grouping because there are multiple types of grouping. There are parentheses, which is probably what you're most likely to see. But there are things like brackets that we use in math. Those are a way to group things. And actually, a fraction bar is grouped kind of by the top and the bottom. So that's kind of a way to group things as well on top and bottom. And so the next, you should solve anything inside parentheses, brackets, fractions first. Try to simplify those things first, solve those first. Next, you should look to solve and simplify exponents. So if you see like 2 squared, you should turn that into 4, simplify those kind of things. And then you have division, of course. You have multiplication, you have subtraction, and then addition next. So if you see division, multiplication, you should do that before you do subtraction and addition. What we have down below here is an example of what's called the left to right rule. Which basically states that if you have a string like here of addition and subtraction, or a string like down here of multiplication and division, just those two things, either or, okay? So notice how it's all addition, subtraction, or all multiplication, division. You should solve from left to right. Sorry about the messy handwriting. If you have a string of either multiplication, division, or addition, subtraction. Hopefully that makes sense. So here's what I mean here. So our first example, we have a string of just addition, subtraction. So we're going to use our rule here. So first you want to solve 8 plus 11 is 19. Kind of bring down the 10, the minus 10. That's going to get you to 9. And finally, kind of bring down the plus 5. And that'll get you to 14. A little error here. So our next example. Hold on 1 second here. Let's see if I can get my recovered files here. Okay. Our next example. So we got 14 for that answer in case you didn't see it. Sorry for the delay there. 14 was our answer here. Our next thing, we have two things. Remember, if you have a number smushed up against parentheses, that means multiply. Okay, so we have a multiplication operation. We also have some groupings going on here. So based off our order, we should be doing the groupings first. So we should take that 9 plus 2 and turn it into 11. So now we have 3 times 11, which of course is going to give us 33. Our next example, as I stated earlier, is a string of multiplication division. We're just going to do it in order from left to right. So first thing we're going to do is 2 times 9, which is 18. Okay, next we're going to do that divided by 3, which equals 6. And finally, the last piece, we're going to divide by 6, which is going to give you 1. Okay, so again, that's called the left to right rule. Here's an example of another type of grouping I mentioned earlier, which is where you have fractions that group. So you should try to solve the top, then solve the bottom, then simplify. So for example, we're going to simplify the top first, turning that into 30, 25 plus 5. 2 times 3 is 6. So now you have 30. Remember, a fraction bar is also like a division sign now. 30 divided by 6 will simplify to 5. All right, so next we have 4 operations. We got some addition, we got some parentheses, we got exponents, we got multiplication. We really need to use our order of operations. So first things first is groupings. We should simplify that to a 5, 1 plus 4. All right, notice how I rewrite the problem each time. So now I have 5 to the 3rd power. That's going to be 5 times 5 times 5 plus times 2. Okay, so now I kind of have a string of multiplication, so I can just do that all together. So 5 times 5 times 5 is 125 times that final 2 is 250. Okay, so that's, again, just using that order. All right, so we have kind of an outdated example. You guys probably don't know what an MP3 player is, but that's fine. So someone bought a MP3 player for $300. Then she bought 10 mini discs for $2 each. How much did she spend all together? So we have a couple operations going on there. So we have the one-time expenditure, $300, and then we're going to add that to, she bought 10 discs for $2 each. So that was how we would kind of figure out 10 times 2 would give the total cost of the discs. So what would we need to do here first? Well, multiplication is our first order of business. Then we can do the 300. So got to do the multiplication before you tack that 10 on. Okay. So you have a final cost of 320. Okay. All right. So evaluate x plus 2y to the 4th, and we have some things to plug in. So we have 12 plus 2. Remember, when their things are smushed together, that means multiply. Okay, plus, and I always like to kind of put things in parentheses, remember. 3 to the 4th power. So we got some multiple things to do here first. So we should first figure out what our operations are here. So we have a exponent. We should do that first. So 12 plus 2 times, let's solve that. That's going to be 81. So now what do we do next? 12 plus 2, or do we do 2 times 81? Well, looking at our order of operations, we should be doing 2 times 81, which will give us 162. All right, so we did 2 times 81, and then we have to tack that 12 on, and we'll be left with 174. All right, we're going to skip this last problem. Feel free to take a look at it if you want and try to figure it out. But this is, in general, our order of operations unit.